Okay, we're back, and now we're going to talk about competition. Okay, so competition would be very simply stated as, in this case, I don't just have a wolf competing for the deer. Okay, let's say I have a wolf, and I also have another large predator, like a cougar. Okay, so now in this case I have wolves and I have cougars competing for the deer. Okay, when there's competition, okay, cougars are very good predators of deer. They will catch the deer, they will eat it, they can feed on it for a while, a week or so, okay, before they need to find another deer to kill. They will go after elk, but deer are small enough that they can get, cougars can get a deer more easily, I guess I would say. Okay, the wolf also is very well adapted to get the deer. So they will compete with each other for this food. Okay, so let's look back at our graph. Let's pretend that, okay, I still have this number of deer in my ecosystem, from anywhere from 180 to about 300, 350, given the year. Okay, I still have the same carrying capacity. Well, there's still the same number of deer, so deer is still a limited resource. Okay, so what I'm going to see here, let me fix my lines. Okay, what I'm going to see here, if I have competition now, okay, we should naturally see the line for my wolf, okay, is going to change. There's only so many deer to go around. If my wolf is now competing with another predator, then my deer numbers are probably, or my wolf numbers, sorry, are going to fall down in a lower range somewhere. Okay? Now, also, I need to add another line for my cougar. Okay? So my cougar is also going to be down here somewhere competing for the deer. Okay? So the wolf and the cougar are competing for the same food source. I can only sustain so many wolves and so many cougars with this number of deer. If I added a third competitor, I would expect to see these numbers drop down even further. Okay? Now, sometimes one animal is better adapted to eating certain animals than others. So if all I had were deer in this ecosystem, and the wolf was really good at catching the deer, and the cougar wasn't as good, I would expect to see the wolf outcompete the cougar. And then I could see numbers of cougars maybe even disappear. Okay? Now we know that cougars can eat other things, coyotes can eat other things, and so there might not be direct competition. But if we were only dealing with deer, sometimes competition can wipe out another species. So right now in Utah, okay, where I live, where my students live, wolves are starting to migrate into Utah from Yellowstone. Okay, and so this could cause competition between the cougars and the bears and the coyotes that already live here and maybe live off of dead deer or winter-killed deer or deer that cougars bring down normally. Okay, so there could be more competition in the state because wolves are starting to reappear in Utah. Okay? So that's competition. Now let's quickly go over invasive species. An invasive species is a non-natural species. Okay? So basically, let's pretend that I go over to Europe. And with me I take some animals. Okay? I take animals that are not native to Europe. They don't live there normally. Okay? And one of the animals I take is really, really well adapted to eat another animal. Okay? So let's change this wolf and deer, and let's say rats. Okay? Let's pretend that there are wild cats, and they're very good at eating the rats. Okay? Well, let's say I take a bigger kind of cat. I take it over and I let it go. And all of a sudden, these bigger cats start reproducing. Okay? And they start to outcompete the native cat for the rats. Okay, what's going to happen is I'm going to see my number of native species decline because they're not able to outcompete the new introduced species. Okay, so a real example, the gray squirrel and the red squirrel in Europe. The gray squirrel is a larger, more aggressive a species. It's better adapted to get food than the red squirrel. So the gray squirrel numbers have gone up and the red squirrel numbers have gone down because the red squirrel cannot outcompete the gray squirrel. Okay, so the gray squirrel was an introduced species, an invasive species. People brought the gray squirrel in and it now outcompetes the native species for food and for shelter and for its resources. Remember, food, shelter, water. It outcompetes the red squirrel for those resources. So we see the number of red squirrels go down. Okay? Now sometimes it could cause a native species to go extinct. It doesn't have to, but it could. Okay? So that's the end of invasive species and competition. Okay, come back soon. Obviously, if I'm wearing the same color shirt, I probably filmed that video that day. Okay? Just so you know. So next we're going to do a little video on something that is not ecology. Okay, so we're moving out of ecology. So, Vault Man Productions, I'm out. Have a good day.